Did you lose your fantasy league because of Arthur Smith this year? Well, a whole lot of people sure feel that way, and it won't happen again in 2024. Arthur Smith is out as head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and Ron Rivera has also been let go by the Washington Red Football Commanders. Welcome on in here to the ADP Average Dudes podcast. I'm your average dude host, Matt Mormann, and we're not here to dance on graves by any means. These are adults losing their jobs, and that's not fun by any means. But for our purposes here, it is a little bit fun to speculate on what it means moving forward for these franchises. So we're just going to take a quick look at both these two teams who now have head coaching vacancies and kind of the lay of the land of their players, their teams, their offenses, and kind of what we could see from them moving forward and what we would like to see maybe for their offenses. So let's start with Atlanta. I know the more obviously interesting one. They've spent a high draft pick in each of the last 3 seasons on offensive weapons, and they have neglected the quarterback position. And to me, that is as big of a problem as any Arthur Smith problem this team ever did have. A lot of people very frustrated, understandably so, with the usage of Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson. Arthur Smith seems to still be in love with Tyler Algier, and he would get carries even down the stretch when maybe he shouldn't. Cordell Patterson would snipe a short goal line touchdown in the later portions of the season, and it's like, why not Bijan, right? Hopefully a new coach comes in, and we'll see who that is. It's really hard to make too big sweeping analysis because we don't know what the new coaching staff is at the moment. Excuse me. But I think that, we can look at this team, though, and say, hopefully this offense can now move in a right direction where these guys are the featured 3 players in this offense. And so if you're in a dynasty league, definitely all 3 guys I feel like are on the up and up now, right? Like these are all 3 guys who have been drafted highly in the past, and all 3 of them have kind of disappointed to an extent. Less so Bijan. I was still pretty happy with the Bijan Robinson season, really, all things considered. But hopefully you don't have to consider things moving forward, right? Hopefully they can just go out there and be superstars and be first-round picks for years to come, potentially. For sure for London and for Bijan. The big question with Atlanta, though, the thing to watch this offseason is going to be what is their quarterback situation going to be. Desmond Ridder, kind of a train wreck as a starter. I think he's more of that fringe backup type for his career, and Taylor Heineke, that is his career, right? He is a backup quarterback. Both those 2 guys saw quite a bit of playing time this season, with Ridder getting the vast majority of the starts. He was their guy this year. And so the thing that's going to come down to is what do they do at quarterback? I think in an ideal world, this is a team that trades for Justin Fields. I don't necessarily know yet how I feel about the idea of the Bears even trading Justin Fields. As I sit here today, I think they're more likely to trade the first overall pick and roll with Fields. That's definitely subject to change, though. But as we sit here today on January 8th, that's how I'm feeling. The next 2.5, 3 months are going to change a lot of that, right? But that's where I'm at right now. I don't necessarily think Fields is going to be out there and available, but if he is, I definitely think that's the way they should go. They're the team that, as a Baltimore Ravens fan, I was worried about being the team to take Lamar Jackson last year. And in hindsight, they obviously the team that should have done it, right? Especially drafting Bijan in the first round and just not using him for a year, basically, right? Like, they obviously should have been the team to go after Lamar, and they didn't. And I think they're going to pay for that a little bit this year. But as me and Tanner have kind of texted about before, there's a lack of veteran upgrades at quarterback right now. And I could see a world even where this is a Russell Wilson landing spot, because I think this is a spot where Russ can come in and look at the weapons, right? In kind of a Tom Brady-like way. When Tom Brady went to Tampa, Brady was able to look at Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and say, that's something I can work with. I can see Russell Wilson wanting that in Atlanta, and there is a lack of veteran upgrades. Depending on Kirk Cousins' health, Cousins could also be a guy, but to me, that's where the buck stops, though. It's going to need to be one of these veteran guys that comes in order for me to get really excited about Drake London and really excited about Kyle Pitts. If it's a rookie, even if it's a high-end rookie, I will have some caution on that. So that's going to be a big thing to watch with Atlanta here throughout this offseason, not just who their new head coach is going to be, as once again, Arthur Smith is out the door, but what quarterback do they bring in? To me, that's every bit as important as the head coach. All right, on to the other one, the Washington Commanders, another team where I think the weapons are really going to be very dependent upon the quarterback. Sam Howell was their star for most of this year, and despite him being up there in the league lead for passing yards, this offense wasn't good. And I do have concerns that Jahan Dotson maybe just isn't going to be good anymore. As a highly drafted wide receiver, rookie year he was really nice. Year 2 completely fell off the table. He, I think, is a good, solid buy low candidate to go after this offseason. And this is a team where I could see them going in I don't know. I could see them kind of taking a bit of a risk at head coach. I think Atlanta, I see them being more of a veteran head coach, maybe, wanting somebody who's done it before. Washington, they just got out of the retread with Ron Rivera. I kind of feel like they're my Ben Johnson landing spot. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, he's kind of the hot, trendy coordinator name for this year. And I kind of think this might be the spot for him to land. I don't know. For some reason, with this committee they're forming of, Bob Myers, formerly Golden State Warriors general manager. Remember when they hired Steve Kerr, he was an analyst. So it's a guy leading that charge who has taken risks with coaching before. I don't know. Maybe it'll be an analyst. Maybe it's Chris Collinsworth or something. He's gonna come in there and be head coach. That would be fun. Maybe it's a guy on a podcast who's gonna be their next head coach. That'd be great. Bring me in, guys. I think we can make it work. I can live in Kansas City and be the head coach of the Washington Commanders. It'd be great. So I don't know what they're going to do at head coach with this new committee they're forming and stuff, but I think it's a fun idea. I think I'm interested to see what it does, and I'm interested in what this is going to mean for Terry McLaurin. Obviously, I think that Terry is kind of at the age though where I think he is what he is as kind of wide receiver 2 for fantasy. But Dotson is the guy who I think may be the buy low candidate here who could really return some value and turn things around, have a big career moving forward. Antonio Gibson is a free agent, so finally Ron Rivera is gone, and maybe Antonio Gibson can be set free for all of you Antonio Gibson truthers, and then he's a free agent, so he'll go somewhere else anyway. But Brian Robinson, he had a very nice year for fantasy this year, and I would like to see him in a scenario where he kind of remains the lead running back. I like the idea of almost a Gibson type guy in there with him, a pass catcher, but let Brian Robinson really do a whole lot of the work between the tackles and between the 20s, and then into the red zone, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with them all as well. This is another one where the quarterback is going to be the key, right? Most of these head coach openings are quarterback dependent. Washington for sure. I don't think Sam Howell's the guy. I never really thought Sam Howell was the guy. Atlanta for sure. Also, same thing with Desmond Ridder. You look over at Vegas. I think they should keep Antonio Pierce, but I also think that they want a big name head coach because that worked out really well for him last time with Josh McDaniels. So I think they should keep Antonio Pierce. I think Antonio Pierce got the most out of that squad, got them play really, really well. But I also do see, I don't know, I see it being where they're going to go in a different direction. On the what were the other two? There's 2 more openings. The Chargers, they are one that they've got the quarterback. They just need to figure out head coach and get a guy in there who can get this team to act together. And same thing with Carolina, hopefully, right? They're kind of in the Jacksonville position a couple years ago where Urban Meyer was a complete train wreck 2 years ago for Jacksonville, and this year Frank Reich, it was a mess there in Carolina. I don't think it was Frank Reich's fault. I think that's a Dave Tepper problem. But they need to bring in someone who can be an adult in the room, I think, in Carolina, and can really kind of sort that team out and get the most out of Bryce Young. Because right now we're looking at that former first overall pick. And look, in a dynasty league, I think I'd be willing to trade Bryce Young for pretty much any rookie pick in the first round for 2024. So definitely a bit of a situation there to salvage. But we're going to get to that. We're going to go through each and every team over the next couple weeks and kind of highlight what we look at for their offseason, what players on their teams could be our free agents, what players could be cut, what needs they have, and what that could mean for each and every one of their skill position players. So that'll be coming up in the next few weeks, so stay tuned to the channel for all that good stuff. I'm also going to go through, and something I've been wanting to do, something I've been kind of gathering info for is the storylines that shaped 2023, just kind of one last look back on this past fantasy football season. And just kind of what were the big stories of the year kind of thing, right? So I'm putting that together, and that'll be out here in the near future as well. Probably next week for that one, if I had to guess. But that could be later on this week as well. So until then, guys, I will see y'all later. And hey, have fun. NFL playoffs are here. So root for those Baltimore Ravens, and I'll see you guys next time.